Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Aloha. It's so great to be here on a Sunday. I've been coming here a lot on Thursdays and Saturdays over the years, but this is my first Sunday, and so I'm very excited to share some time with you today. Today I'd like to share what I call experiences along the White Path. Okay, good. In the 7th century, Shantou wrote a poem called Two Rivers and White Path. It's a parable on which this painting is based. It's considered a classic Pure Land teaching in which Amida welcomes and Shakyamuni encourages the traveler to take a narrow white path across a river of raging water and fiery flames. It's my favorite reminder of the middle path that we walk every day and struggle to keep our balance in living with the adversities of life. The first experience I'd like to share is about Hongwanji Mission School. As a Betsuin lay minister, one of my assignments is teaching the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders about Buddhism and the meaning of Hongwanji in Hongwanji Mission School. The mission school theme is the golden chain of love, and in every classroom they have this poster, posted up here that has the golden chain of love, on it. And so every morning, every student recites the golden chain of love. We have a couple mission school students here to verify that that happens, along with the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, by kindergarten, the kids really have memorized the golden chain of love pretty completely. But of course, the meaning of the golden chain of love takes a little bit longer. We just recited the golden chain of love, and I'm going to have you think about, what captures you the most. Okay. A few weeks ago, this year's middle schoolers were asked to write a short essay on what the golden chain means to them. Okay, so take a look at the golden chain of love, and if you shut your eyes, what is most memorable, to you? What sticks, in your head about the golden chain of love? I'm sure most of you saints, said it countless numbers of times. But that said, sometimes when we say it so much, we don't really pay attention to it, right? Most students focused on this part, the actions, the kind and gentle, the pure and beautiful thoughts, pure and beautiful words, pure and beautiful deeds is usually the most common part that they remember. Okay? So what did you select? What stayed in your mind? I'm not going to ask anybody, don't worry. In mission school services, I try to ask certain kids. But in our adult Buddhist Study Center classes, many members who have attended Dharma school when they were children associate Shin Buddhism with the kind and gentle lesson of the golden chain of love. Right? So I think most people take away from the golden chain of love that it's about doing kind and gentle things and thinking pure and beautiful thoughts, etc. But if we look at the Eightfold Path on which the golden chain of love is based, we see, of course, 8 kind of steps that are a little bit hard to remember, but they are classified as wisdom, conduct, and spiritual fitness types of categories. or kind of in our more modern way of thinking, an alignment of our mind, body, and spirit. Okay? And so before the body is engaged in doing the pure and beautiful deeds, doing kind and gentle things, the mind is the more important part, to kind of get working in the right direction. Okay? And so in Buddhism, before action, the mind must be put into gear. And the golden chain of love, I think the most important part of it is right at the beginning, where we kind of quickly rush through it. And the second sentence is, I must keep my link bright and strong. Right? And what does that kind of mean? Because I'd like you to maybe take away with you that is kind of something to think about when you think of the golden chain of love. Because the this part is where you kind of build your spiritual fitness for those times of adversity. Because if you don't keep your link bright and strong, what happens? It gets kind of rusty and weak, and it'll break. When the time comes where you could use some some courage and some spiritual strength to get through some sort of bad day or a crisis. Yeah? So spiritual fitness is about being prepared. We're just talking about the Red Cross, and being prepared. Putting the sandbags up, so like when the river bursts, that's kind of keeping your spiritual fitness, your link, bright and strong. So it's being prepared, just like we, for our professional lives, we kind of learn the things that we have to learn. For our bodies, we go for walks or run, or we work out, try to do our physical fitness. But how much time do we really spend with our spiritual fitness? And so that, we need to do little things to keep our links bright and strong. And they're not big things that you have to do. They can be, a lot of small things. Okay, these are the things that kind of keep your link shiny. Unplug a little bit. During try not to look at your phone for 10 minutes. I think on average, they say people look at their phones, pretty much constantly. Just taking a deep breath and letting it out slowly. In mission school, we do a meditation where we just sit quietly and take 20 breaths. Okay. Appreciate nature. I think most people find that to be relaxing and fulfilling, but it's also a way to keep your link bright and strong, especially since you have the ko'olau right over your shoulder here. Whenever I come over the side and look at the ko'olaus, you kind of get that instant contact with kind of like the divine and kind of immeasurable beauty of our islands. Try listening to birds sing. You have to be kind of quiet, because they have lovely voices, but they're kind of soft, right? So you just sit and listen to the birds sing. That's keeping your link bright and strong. Or, volunteer, doing something with your friends. Of course, the temple of the Sangha is a great opportunity to do that. Or just simply going for a walk. Simple things. Things that you can do every day, during your day. The other part of the golden chain of love, excuse me, is the sections, in the actions about trying. And trying sometimes maybe makes doing pure and beautiful deeds and thinking kind and gentle thoughts and those sort of things kind of optional, right? Try, but you don't have to do it. But in the context of the golden chain of love, there are 2 tries and 2 do's. Okay? So I think the intention, by the authors, is to try until you get it done. And so that also fits in with the way Yoda would think, Master Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try. And so I think we have to try and put a little bit more oomph in our golden chain of love, and think about doing things until they're done. In the Four Noble Truths, the third noble truth, the Rhoda, is the truth of the end of dukkha or adversity. How do you solve day-to-day problems? And in the kind of contemporary way that I teach it at mission school, number 3 is do your best and don't give up. That's something that we're all kind of familiar with and used to, but that's really the try and the do part, right? You do your best, by trying, but you don't give up until you get it done. Okay. So those are my thoughts on my first, kind of experience I wanted to share with you. And the second part is about what we call, Shinran referred to his followers as equal companions. Ondo Bo, Ondo Ryo. Yeah, okay? That was written in his Kyogyo Shinshu. And for him, his kind of, some of his companions, were in the Kyogyo Shinshu, and were described as his lineage, his 7 masters. And so if you study Jodo Shinshu, you're going to run into these 7 masters that Shinran Shonen learned certain pieces from. Okay? And many of them lived hundreds, if not thousands of years before Shinran. So they weren't his kind of immediate personal teachers, but they were Buddhist scholars from India, and China, and Japan, that wrote things that influenced him and in his way of thinking, so that he could end up sharing that with us. So I was thinking about, what are my own 7 masters, kind of lineage as an exercise, and I encourage you all to, kind of think of that. Who has influenced you and why? And so, this is my current version anyway. And this leads into my talking about this is 6th master. The 7th master, that I'll talk about is our dear Al Bloom, with whom we shared kind of many afternoons here at the Kailua Temple. But just as a way of thinking about Shakyamuni, I think his basic fundamental teachings, the Four Noble Truths, were of course the foundation of kind of my Buddhist path, as well as Shinran Shonen, who taught that Amida embraces us all. Okay, the Dalai Lama, is a worldwide figure. I find that I have like all his books on my bookshelf and actually read kind of most of them. And I think what strikes me about the Dalai Lama, is his humanity, and his ability to share, Buddhist teachings. Even though he's a Tibetan monk, he doesn't talk about Tibetan Buddhism. He talks about, Buddhism, and he talks about humanity, and he shows his personal joy. I think, many times, the picture that I always have in my head is him laughing, right? And so another master, Reverend Marvin Harada, he's come to Hawaii a number of times, and I followed him, and then followed him along with my wife Faye, to California, and, both in Berkeley and his temple in Orange County. I think for me, Marvin Harada, just whenever you're around him, he just expresses and exudes joy and gratitude. He works tremendously hard, but you never see him without a big smile on his face. And I think that's for Shin Buddhists, the joy that is part of our teachings is the thing that I hope that all of you can take away with it. George Tanabe is a local emeritus professor of religion from the University of Hawaii, and he worked with him a lot. He's also the president of BDK America, but he's a good friend because he teaches classes with me at the Buddhist Study Center, and has been involved in trying to support in his own way Hongwanji and Shin Buddhist teachings for many years. But he's kind of known for his honesty, to the point that many ministers sometimes don't like it, because he's too honest about what his thoughts are about Shin Buddhism. But he comes from a temple family from Kailua, and so he understands the development of Hongwanji and Shin Buddhism. Jeff Wilson is also a professor that been privileged to get to know a lot of it through Dr. Bloom and the Futaba lectures that he drew me into. And Jeff is kind of in my mind, a young Dr. Bloom. He's in his 40s now, but he's a professor at a Canadian university, and he'll actually be here next month for 6 months as a visiting professor at the University of Hawaii. So hopefully we'll be able to do some things, and you can meet him too. He's an American-born scholar. He's also a Jodo Shinshu minister. He's a Tokido minister. He's studying for further ordination. Okay. Then, of course, my seventh master, Sensei Alun, and I remember him for his humility, courage and love. Of course, he's a towering, intellect, but I remember him more for his persona and his spirit, as opposed to all the grasp of teaching, his vast knowledge. And so, we sat over in the social hall, many Thursdays in 2015 and 2016, and we talked about Shinran Shonen mostly. I first met Al Bloom, like many others, at a lecture that Reverend Richard Tennis asked Al to join in on. And at first his teachings seemed way over my head, but his sincerity and expertise were undeniable. Meeting Al inspired me to dive into all of his many writings, books, essays, and his website. And those are still all available. Gradually I learned how fortunate those circumstances were that created the opportunity to learn from a true master of Shinran's teachings and world religions. Our relationship grew greatly around the 10th annual Futaba. We're coming up 2009. So we're almost getting to, I think the 18th is the one that's coming up in December. And I was just basically in a support role that later developed into a leadership role. At Al's elbow, his influence grew and knowledge flowed. Planning with him on who to invite and what subjects might work best provided many insights on thoughts about Shinran, Shonen, and Jodo Shinshu. Always evident was Al's enthusiasm and passion to have Buddhist scholars and authors share their wisdom with Hawaii Hongwanji. His insistence on requiring the speaker to have published books reflected his respect for the editorial process to craft solid works of thoughtful consideration. His intellectual integrity has guided me on the Shin Buddhist path. It's been a wonderful opportunity to help Al and Dadi's vision and perpetuate the Futaba Memorial Lectures. And so I think it's December 16th, we'll be having Professor Michihiro Ama coming to speak at the Futaba lecture, which will be held at the Betsuin on a Saturday morning. And he'll be talking about Wengmyo Imamura's legacy, because we're heading into a centennial of our Betsuin temple. And so, we're kind of going back and, kind of remembering, what got us here so that we can hopefully, forge ahead, into the future. Al and I grew closer during his hospice years when he kept asking, "Why am I here?" I'd always reply, "You're here to teach us more." And he would treat me with some Shinran moments. When he began feeling useless, Richard Tennis, Clyde Whitworth, and I started Al's co-group here at Kailua Hongwanji Temple on Thursdays each week. A steady group of students met each week for a year to discuss Shinran's teachings and learn from Sensei Moon. This weekly Al Fest was a wonderful one moment, Ichigo, Ichie gathering. We semi-joked that Al was channeling Shinran for us because we felt we could hear Shinran's deepest intentions when Al shared his 50-plus year connection with Shinran Shonin. As I accompanied Al on his final steps on the White Path, I did not sense any fear, only gratitude and love. When he moved from his Kailua home to hospice care at St. Francis Hospice in Nu'uanu, he was so happy to be able to help his family have more time for themselves. His purpose for living was to help prepare them and all of us for our lives after his passing. Al was a true bodhisattva, always thinking of others. His final lessons were not about words, but through his actions of grace, humility, and gratitude. In his final days, he most often just said, "I love you," to his family and visitors. "I'll always love you too, Al, and always have you in our hearts." So mahalo for the precious moments provided by immeasurable wisdom and compassion. Namo Ahimsa. Thank you for your attention.